Okay. So basically what I want to talk about today, something I think super important. I think, when I speak at a lot of events, they kind of always want me to speak about the same thing, right? Which is Facebook ad strategies, retargeting sequences, scaling strategies, all that stuff, right? Like that's what everyone kind of wants to talk about. And that's the problem sometimes of being really focused on the tactics and the strategy and implementation is sometimes you take your eye off the ball, right? And so lately, the last 6 months or so, my focus has been more on like the business and higher level strategy and our different brands, and less in the weeds running ads, right? So I'm still running plenty of ads and still getting my hands dirty, but we're building a team. We're building various teams on different projects, and it's giving us a lot of time to think about like what are we doing right at Unicorn, what are we doing wrong at Unicorn, what are some things that I think we can improve on, and what are some things I think we've learned that I can share with a lot of other people. And so I think one of the things that we've gotten really good at, we get a lot of things, but we're really good at a few different things, right? And we're always looking to improve. I think one of the things that we've gotten really good at through just practice, or actually not practice, practice and failure, right? We've done the traditional agency route a few times where basically like this is the traditional agency, right? The traditional agency is, hey, you have a business, you want us to run ads for you or do some service for you, you pay us X%, right? So on the performance side, it's come on my ads, I'm going to pay you 15% of ad spend up to $100,000 a month, and then I'm going to tier it down to 10%, and then I'm going to tier it down to 8% or whatever, right? It's a tiered compensation model as a percent of ad spend. And I think that's great when you're getting started, right? It's great because it's very easy. It's easy to understand. It's easy to sell. Everyone's doing it. So you're not rocking the boat. It's like, well, this agency who pitched me and this agency who pitched me, they're all pitching the same thing. So this must be the normal way to go about it. And when you're getting started and you don't have a lot of trust or credibility with businesses, you might have to start this way. Here's where I think it gets interesting. The biggest inherent flaw, and the reason why I think most agencies, the average client life cycle is less than 6 months, which I think it's actually far less than that, but I think like 6 months on average across the board for agencies is the usual kind of life cycle, right? Which means that like after 6 months on average, businesses just leave you. They just go to another agency, right? They think the grass is greener at some other agency. They think somehow like you're not doing the right thing and this agency's got the secret, this market's got the secret. I don't necessarily think it's about your performance, right? So sure, there's grass is greener syndrome and people read things and see things. I think the bigger problem is that your goals are not aligned, right? And so the more Jeremy and I started talking with high level people, the more we started talking with our big partners, right? This really hit home when we were at Perry Belcher's house. So we ran a lot of ads for Perry and Rival Media. And we were at Perry's house in Vegas. We spent a full day with him. And, one of the things we spoke about, well, he actually told us is like, listen, I think the biggest challenge, I shouldn't be telling you this because we're paying you. I shouldn't be telling you how to charge us more effectively and keep us longer. But the problem is at some point, you guys are going to be spending, $500,000 a month of our money, $1 million a month of our money. And we're going to be writing a check for $100 grand, $150 grand a month. And I can guarantee you that our CFO or controller, when they're writing those checks, they're going to start paying attention to it, right? So when you start writing a check for $100,000 every month, you pay attention to it, whether it's your CFO, whether it's you as the owner doing it, whoever it is. Usually if you're writing $100,000 checks, you have a CFO or controller, somebody that's managing your money. And they're going to start saying, well, how effectively are we using this money? Is this the best investment? And that leads to scrutiny, which leads to them really hyper analyzing the performance. And they start just running through scenarios, right? Like if I took this $100,000 I'm giving your agency, what could I do with it, right? What could I do with $100,000 a month? Well, I could probably build a team of, like 8 to 10 really talented marketers, right? I could do that. I could bring on a really great CMO and build a team around them, give them resources. I could go to this agency over here that's charging me less than percent of ad spend. They just start going through these different scenarios. And that's an issue, right? That's why I think a lot of agencies run into this problem where it's like they're doing really well, they're scaling, they're growing, but then they hit this wall where the agency starts reevaluating it. And percent of ad spend is one of the main reasons why that happens. The compensation model is highly flawed. One, because they start giving you more money, right? So inevitably, that's going to happen with any compensation model. You need to make more money as you're making the client more money. That's a fact. But the percent of ad spend, it doesn't align your goals, right? So like Jeremy and I just got on the phone. We're talking about, you know, a potential new partner of ours, new client. And our conversations now are always about like, how can we structure a deal where both parties have the same goals, right? That is how every conversation goes when it comes to partnering with new clients, selling new clients, is how can we present a deal to them that when they sign on it, they're going to genuinely believe that everyday Unicorn has our best interest at heart. Everyday Unicorn and their media buyers are working to make our company not just more money, more profit, right? Not just sell more product, but actually net more money, right? And not just trying to jack up their fees. Most agencies, most performance marketers can't say that, right? The problem is, like, if I'm percent of ad spend based or just CPA based or whatever, my goal is to spend a shit ton of money, right? That's my goals. I want to spend as much money of yours as possible if it's percent of ad spend, because that's how I make my money, right? So let's say you're around break even, right? I have your ad account, you're spending 50 grand a month, okay? 10% of ad spend, you pay me 5 grand. So I'm making 5 grand a month buying your media, and I'm around break even, right? So for me, if I can maintain break even while spending more money, I'm going to do that, right? So I'm not necessarily incentivized to be more profitable. I'm incentivized to spend more money at the same amount I'm at. Or if I'm profitable, to spend it until I get to break even. So I could jack that spend up to $500,000 a month. Let's say over a few months I get to $500,000 a month. You're now writing me a check for $50,000 a month from $5,000. But if I'm at break even, you're not making any more money. You're not actually profitable on that additional spend. Now you're going in the hole an additional $45,000 for my services, but I haven't actually produced a net gain profit-wise. That's a big problem, right? So what we're looking at now is like, okay, what kind of deal structures can we put in place that ensure our goals are in alignment with our client goals? And so the easiest way to do this is to have a flat retainer plus profit share plus rev share. That is like the most straightforward, easiest way to do it. It's not a coincidence that the clients, or we call, you know, partners that we've had the longest happen to all have that structure, right? So, you know, all the stuff we do for Pat, for example, we've had a great deal with him where our goals are aligned since day one, and he's been the easiest, best partner of ours. He is relatively hands-off. He hops on a call once a month. He loves what we're doing. We're growing. Everyone's making more money. Everyone's happy because their team knows that we're working every day to make things more profitable because our compensation is tied towards their success financially, right? So it's not just about spending more of Pat's money. It's about spending more of Pat's money profitably every month, because if we can do that, we make more money. And so that's the big thing. So what we found is, yeah, Brian, I can basically, I was going to kind of do that. So you beat me to it. So here's like an ideal structure to get started. And then we'll talk about some other structures you can go for that are more advanced. But like, here's a great structure to get started. Find out what's your, like, your base costs, right? Like, what are the costs that you incur your team to manage an account, right? So let's say it's, you know, 5 grand a month. I want to do a 5K retainer. So a 5K base retainer, that's what you pay me. And then I want to have a profit or rev share on top of that. So you can do this one of two ways. You can do it if some businesses are already crushing it. They already got a lot of things going on. In that case, you might set it based on, and this is an idea Jeremy had, which is great. You might set it based on like the net gain, right? So let's say you're doing $1 million a month already. We want 10% of everything above that $1 million. So basically any gain, we don't want to touch anything you've done. You've already done that. We don't want you to feel bitter about us getting money from what you did, right? So we're going to take a piece of what we've helped generate, right? So if we add an additional $1 million a month, we get $100,000 of that, right? Obviously basic math, we're not factoring cost of goods sold, things like that, just to keep the number simple. So what that does is it gives us our, like, covers our nut, right? It covers our base expenses with the flat retainer. And then we have the upside, which is tied to either profit or revenue. You know, revenue's a lot easier to track. It's a lot more simple. However, some businesses might not be okay with that because they might have, you know, a lot of costs. Their cost of goods sold might be really high. They got to factor a lot of stuff. It gets a little trickier. So, you know, it might just be profit. If it's an info product business like Pat, it's just sales minus ad spend because it's all info products. So that's really easy there. So that's the model in my opinion, that's like that everybody really should be doing. You get paid for your time, so you at least have a minimum amount of cash you're bringing every month. But then the goals really on increased compensation are aligned going forward. The other idea that Perry had thrown out, which we had teased with, and it is an interesting concept when you get to a higher level, is basically setting a base retainer really, really high. So maybe it's $30,000 a month, $50,000 a month, and that's your retainer regardless of spend. So for bigger clients, bigger accounts that are spending going from a few $100,000 to millions, a deal like that may make sense where they're willing to take an upfront hit to lock in a retainer that is fixed and not going to jump up dramatically as they spend more money. So that's another idea. Another idea there. But I think we need to, as agency owners, as performance marketers, working with businesses, start thinking about what's in their best interest, right? Here's the interesting thing is that everyone wants to try to get the best deal possible. So when we're in negotiations, we're talking with people, like a lot of people, their mindset is, I want to get the best deal possible, right? So I want the best deal. Well, if you get a great deal, that inevitably means 9 times out of 10 that the other person got a bad deal. And the last thing you want is a client feeling like they got a bad deal, even if they're not aware of it now. They'll probably be aware of it at some point when they start making a lot more money. So we're always looking, let's structure deals that are fair, that are abundant, where we're making sure we're not being greedy. We're still being compensated. We still want to make a lot of money, but we're not being too greedy and trying to take too much and overreach. We want to put a deal together that is based on like mutually aligned interests, that we can grow together, that both parties can make a lot more money together, that can last a lot longer. Because even if you net a little less in that initial 6 months, if that means that you can keep your clients on average for a year plus, you're going to make a lot more money over the life cycle. You have less time out there trying to sell more people. You're able to focus more on the accounts. You're going to be able to build a deeper relationship with that client. You're going to build more referrals, more word of mouth. It just has such a net gain. It's an exponential gain if you have really, really happy clients that are with you for a long period of time. And the best way to do that is to tie the compensation together. So that's what I think on the compensation side is really changing that up from percent of ad spend to retainer plus rev profit share. Now you can also do equity. There's some other kickers you can throw in there, especially if you think it's a business that's sellable that you want a piece of down the road. Then I think there's the kind of the next level. And the next level is really starting to build JVs or co-owned assets with those clients. So I think the issue with a lot of affiliate marketing and CPA marketing, and even just kind of agency marketing, is that you are inevitably building somebody else's business, right? So you're building somebody else's dream, somebody else's vision. You're building somebody else's wealth. Sure, you're going to get paid in the interim, right? You're going to get cash and all that good stuff, and that's great, right? But there's no guarantees. So when that client either gets acquired, goes public, closes the doors, fires you, that cash stops. Just like with affiliate offers. As soon as that offer goes down, the offer turns to crap, gets too competitive. As soon as a platform changes, you go from making X to making nothing. And that's not a scalable model. It's not a model that you can eventually take yourself out of. And that's been my biggest problem as a marketer, is removing myself from the equation so that we can grow much, much bigger. Because if your business is built around you needing to run ads constantly and come up with new stuff to make money, that's not a scalable business, right? That is a lifestyle business, a cash flow business. It's not sellable. It's not scalable. It's very, very challenging to do anything beyond, make a few $100,000 a month max. So what we started looking at is, okay, we have a lot of opportunities from partners coming to us wanting us to run traffic for financial lead gen, for physical products, trade sale e-com, info products, different offers that we can make money on the front end. That's great. But what if we built something bigger, right? So we see these leads coming in and, hey, these leads are, finance leads, are interested in stocks and investing and trading. What if we built a property together, right? What if we approached the clients and what if we built a co-owned company together where you guys brought your expertise in because you're the best at the content, the web builds, email management, all the stuff we're not great at. We'll bring in the traffic, we'll bring in the leads, we'll monetize the leads and the retargeting, and we'll build this asset together on the back end where we can all make money together on the front end, but we can build something much, much bigger together as partners that we own together on the back end. So for us now, if those financial offers dry up on the front end, or if Facebook makes a change or whatever happens, we still have this massive email list we've been building, this massive content hub we're building that can generate passive income month over month, that if we wanted to, a year from now, we could sell it to a big player in the space. So we're moving away from building other people's dreams and other people's businesses and moving more towards leveraging those relationships to then build something much bigger on the back end, right? It's the same thing that we realized with our Trump coin offer, right? Hey, we made the mistake early on of we just focused on getting people to buy the coin. We should have at the time focused on building a much bigger asset on the back end that we could have brought partners into it and had, apparel, we could have had other gear, we could have a content play. And now we know people in the space, and we're kind of looking to build something similar to that for the next selection with our partners from the original offer. So I guess what I see the future being beyond just the modification on the compensation plan from being percent of ad spend to retainer rev share aligning goals is also that future of we as affiliate marketers, as performance marketers, as agency owners, who we have such a great gift and skill of acquiring leads, acquiring customers, building audiences, getting people to take action. And we're so just used to only making money on the front end because that's the way it's been done for so long, that we just get compensated for what we do initially, but we don't get any compensation beyond the initial interaction, even though that person wouldn't be there without us. We need to start thinking bigger, start thinking beyond that initial CPA, beyond that initial percent of ad spend, whatever it might be, and start thinking beyond that of building genuine assets and ways that we can turn that lead and that customer into an ATM, into a cash machine, that we can provide lots of value to that individual. We can help that individual achieve their goals more, but at the same time, we can monetize them, right? We can monetize them with email newsletters. We have native display on websites. We have additional offers, webinars, physical products, info products. There's so many things we can monetize a lead or a buyer with after that initial interaction, after that initial engagement. And so what I'm kind of urging a lot of people that I talk to, people that I mentor and just in our groups, is stop thinking very small. Stop thinking about making $5 per sale, right? That's tunnel vision, right? Everyone that's so focused on the CPA, right? I'm running this offer, it's a $30 CPA, and I'm getting $20 sales, so I'm getting $10 per sale, and I'm optimizing, I'm tweaking it, all this stuff, so I get an additional $2 out of it. So I'm making $12 per sale. So you're getting $12 one time. That's not exciting. That's not gonna make you wealth. That's not gonna allow you to retire, right? What is gonna help you build wealth is turning that $12 into a lifetime of ATM withdrawals, right? Month over month, whether it's through what you're doing on the email side of it, the content side of it, the upsells, the additional products you can bring in, physical, digital, info, events. There's so many things you can do around specific industries, right? So if you start, let's say you have a fitness product, right, that you're helping market and doing lead gen for. Why not build a fitness content site on the back end where you can bring in some writers to share workout tips, workout advice, that you can then drive that lead, that buyer into that hub, into that community, start a Facebook group. You can start doing native display on the site. You can have a email newsletter that you can run sponsorships through for, there's a variety of platforms out there that allow you to do power inbox and stuff. You can bring in additional offers. You can work with people that have courses, that have coaching, work as an affiliate for them. You can bring in supplements. You can bring in additional physical products. There's so many ways you can monetize that one individual because they've expressed interest in a category, right? They've expressed interest in getting in shape. Somebody's expressed interest in wanting to start a business. Somebody's expressed interest in wanting to learn how to invest, right? That's what they're telling you on the front end by buying or opting into an offer. So why not build a vertically integrated company on the back end that does all of those things, that helps them achieve all of those goals, right? Because they're not just going to need a product. They're going to need the knowledge. They're going to need the community. They're going to need the expert support. They're going to need the, the pathway to grow and succeed. And that's going to involve different levels of touch points, right? It's understanding that you can own that customer journey beyond that door opening, right? So a lot of us right now as performance marketers, we open doors, right? So we're like we basically operate like a toll, right? So, hey, you can get onto the road, we'll take our fee, and there you go down the highway, right? And so that's that's at least from my opinion, I think the exciting thing. That's what we're most excited about in 2019 and beyond, is moving away from fighting for scraps on the front end and instead collecting those scraps, but then investing in building something much, much bigger where we can generate monthly and annual income, much, much more money and wealth, and build something that eventually could be sellable, an actual asset that we can own as performance marketers, right? So yeah, I'm more than happy if anybody has any questions about that. Any thoughts, ideas, any clarifications, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to share some insight and go a little deeper on any one of these topics. Thanks, everyone.